I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Lately, every day feels like a big old fucking dumpster fire. Welcome to Power in Numbers. I'm Crystal Echohawk. Today, we're diving headfirst into one of the sources of that fucking dumpster fire, politics. In this episode, we explore what are the changes that everyday Americans want to see, and what do they really want from their leaders? To help us answer these questions, we have Celinda Lake in the C-suite. Later, we'll be joined by incredible organizers and storytellers Latasha Brown, Ryan Eller, and Allie Young. And we'll hear more from the mean girl of the left, Suzanne Lambert. Stick with us. All right, Celinda, we are back in the C-suite together. We're going to start talking about something that is kind of feeling a little depressing right now. And it's politics. It's thinking about the midterms. It feels really bleak. How is everybody else feeling about politics right now?
Oh, terrible.
Okay. So I'm not alone.
That's not the uplifting conversation.
Okay.
But I think people realize that the stakes are really high, and they have to realize the power of their vote. They have to get out and vote. And they also feel that their vote is being taken away from them, which they're infuriated by. They're stunned when they learn that the Voting Rights Act is being decimated. I mean, they think that is a fundamental part of the Constitution, as it should be. So people are very nervous.
How did that happen? And how, knowing that people are worried about it, but yet we've somehow seemed to allow the rise of authoritarianism. What's happening?
It's really interesting to me because when we've asked people what are the problems with the Democrats and what are the problems with the Republicans, they're very clear with the Republicans. They say they get things done, they're really strong, they are firm in their beliefs, but they are for the wealthy and big business and for their power for themselves. And when we ask them what kind of animal would Republicans be, people say a hyena, but a lion, a tiger, forceful animals. When they ask people, what are the problems with the Democrats? They say, not that we're too liberal, but that we're too weak. And they describe us as weasels, snakes, sloths. I think that we have to offer a clear distinction. We have to say, these are the 10 things. I want the contract with America. I want the Democrats to stand up and say, these are the 10 things we're going to do. And hold us accountable. Don't reelect us if we don't do them. But if you give us power, and it doesn't have to be everything we stand for, God bless us, the Democrats always talk about everything they're for, and every subclause, and every bill number, and every statistic. No, just 10 simple things. And that's how Mandami won, that people could repeat his 3-point agenda. It wasn't the only things he was going to do, but people knew what he was going to do. The governors of Virginia and New Jersey, the governor of Jersey said, day one, I'm going to cap utility bills, and she did. The governor of Virginia had a 10-point plan she took to the legislature the first day they were open. So I think we have to stand for something. We have to be clear. We have to listen to people, and we have to be strong. We have to fight to the end to get these things done. Democracy has to deliver. Otherwise, it leads to authoritarianism.
It just feels like for the opposition party, in this case, the Democrats, that this should make it easy for them to kind of penetrate through and make a difference. But it just feels like we're seeing in that polling that people still increasingly don't find them to be effective. And I know when we did research around Native Americans who have traditionally thought that Democrats in Congress and overall in government are going to do better by them, we saw that dramatically decrease and more people thinking that neither party, but especially the Democrats, couldn't help. What's going on? So
there's a lot of movement increase in independent registration. People don't reject our policies particularly, but they also think that neither party is effective, that neither party's on their side, that neither party's listening, that everybody's doing their own thing for themselves and their donors in Washington. There are some very new, exciting leaders and some really courageous leaders, but people think they're the exception, not the rule. I think what's really interesting, and we don't talk about it enough, are like the governor and AG races, the attorney general's races.
Why is that?
Because they are at the local level. They have to deliver. They take on villains on behalf of people. The AGs are incredible. The Democratic AGs are just suing right and left and
so are Republican AGs, right?
Yes.
That means some of the biggest cases. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
The other way.
Very effective. Something I've noticed in looking at trends in our community is that increasingly younger people are feeling more and more dissatisfied with the two-party system and don't believe in it. I'm just wondering, from your research with non-natives, or just kind of what you're seeing out there, are there any other kind of trends you're seeing across age, gender, geography, about how people are feeling less engaged, more engaged, or kind of attitudes?
The first thing we notice is that there are some structural conditions that increase participation. Automatic registration, early registration. Some state, believe it or not, there are states that have election day registration. There are states that have no registration. North Dakota, which isn't known as a center of scandal, really, doesn't have any registration. So, and they seem to do it. Yeah, you don't have to register to vote in North Dakota. You just vote.
Oh, I did not. Wow. Okay.
So as goes North Dakota, so goes the country. Okay. Ranked choice voting, where you get to pick more than one candidate. You get to give your first choice and your second choice. And so those votes are all counted. So everybody's vote is counted until somebody gets to 50%. Those situations all improve turnout. Campaign finance reform. It's not accidental that even though Mandami was outspent massively, he had enough money because they have public financing there. If you get a certain number of small dollar contributions, then you're matched big time with other small dollar contributions. A lot of other places, several cities have that kind of rules. So there are structural features. And then having initiatives. Voters feel like we did minimum wage in Florida, for example, and our slogan to younger men was, don't trust the man, go vote yourself a raise. And that really increased turnout among young men who said, okay, I get to directly vote to increase the minimum wage here. So there are lots of things we could do to increase participation. Cynicism is at an all-time high. But you are seeing people really energized, feeling that they have to push back.
And so what is the field starting to look like on both sides for 2028?
Well, 2028 is fascinating because, of course, we already have 26 Democrats who are running and counting.
No. Wait, say that again.
I know. People always question me when I say it. 26 Democrats are right now running for president. We've got family members on the Republican side. We've got vice presidents. We've got cabinet members. We've got governors. So we're going to have a lot of people running for president in 2028.
Everything is shifting, but it feels like the way that politicians need to engage with people is changing. And I want to take a moment to kind of watch this video because we heard so much about his social media.
You're going to show one of my favorites.
Yeah, I'd love to watch this, and let's talk about what you think works here for both sides.
New York is suffering from a crisis, and it's called halalflation. Today, we're going to get to the bottom of this. How much does a plate of halal cost right now from this truck?
$10.
$10. Chicken over rice, lamb over rice, $10.
$10?
Yeah.
When you're a street vendor, you have to pay for the food, the plates. How much do you have to pay for your permit?
Before it was 22K.
17,000.
And how much does a license cost if you get it from the city?
I think 400.
And who are you paying?
The permit owner.
And who is this?
A random guy.
These are the 4 bills that are sitting in the city council right now, which would give these vendors their own permits and make your halal more affordable. But Eric Adams hasn't said a single word about them. If you own the permit, then how much would you charge for the plate?
$7.
$8.
$8.
Would you rather pay $10 for a plate of halal or $8?
$8.
I think $8 is the way to go.
If I was the mayor, I'd be working with city council from day one to make halal $8 again.
What are the strong points here, and what is maybe what he's kind of, I'm not going to say pioneered, but he really did kind of put this type of message to the forefront. What works
Well,
here?
I think he empowered everyday voices and really developed a new kind of social media, and he's obviously very talented at it. And I don't want people to think that the only people who can run for office are people as talented as he is at social media. And he had solutions. And he raises the questions, why can't we get it done? Get it done. That was Trump's secret weapon is, for better or for worse, the man, whether it's a small thing or, like erasing the description of him in the Smithsonian, or a big thing like the war in Iran, he gets it done. It's terrifying once he gets done, but he gets it done.
I love the behind the scenes conversations that we get to have in the world that you operate in and out of. But What do you think is going to happen? Do you want to any calls to action before we transition?
I think there are a couple things. Number one, we got to have high turnout. So if you're thinking about, and people can sit on the couch, and I understand the frustration and the anger that leads people to vote the couch. And I hate it when our party says people have nowhere to go. Oh, yeah, they do. People have very busy lives right now. They got plenty of places to go. But they have to turn out to vote. I think turnout will be record high. I think because of that, we'll elect the House. We'll take back the House. I think we have a very good shot at taking back the Senate, and I'm super excited, as I know you are, because that's going to happen with 2 Native American women in Minnesota, and Alaska. And I think that we have, the number one thing that has to get done, though, is we have to have a clear economic plan. And it's got to be structural in its content. Often right now, when Democrats talk about affordability, I think we sound like a Memorial Day sale. Like if you buy, I really do. If you buy a mattress from us, we'll give you 10% off. No, it has to be structural economics. We have to say there is absolutely no reason this is working the way this is working, as Mondami did. I got 4 bills in there to fix this system now. Let's get it done.
All right. From the godmother herself, Celinda. All right. Before we go, living in the dumpster fire land, we're going to always try to shine a light and what's true, what's not, but bust a myth or two for us. What do you have for us today?
A myth I'd like to bust is that young people and Native Americans are not interested in politics. That is absolutely not true. In your survey, Native Americans had incredibly high interest, 86% interested in what's going on. And young people have a lot of interest. They were the backbone of what happened in Minneapolis. They are the backbone of, I'm from Washington, D.C., they're the backbone of the Free D.C. movement. They're the backbone of the boycotts right now. When things matter, when your action can bring about change, young people are very engaged, and we need their engagement. And then the myth is that Native Americans and young people never run for office. Well, we got a record number of both running for office this time, so let's go vote.
Yes, absolutely. You said it. So thank you so much, Celinda.
Thank you so much.
And now we'll hear from a woman who needs no introduction, the queen of political snark, Suzanne Lambert.
Hi, my name's Suzanne Lambert. I'm a comedian, stand-up comedian, podcast host based in Washington, D.C., and most of my online content is focused around making light of the current moment, which can feel really heavy, but using comedy as a way to introduce people to politics and work through politics together. I think that in times like these, it is so tempting to throw in the towel, especially when you see the things that are happening and feeling like you're working really hard to make change and you don't see an immediate payoff. But how I stay motivated is I am truly powered by pettiness. It's not love and joy and happiness that keeps me going. It's the recognition that more than ever, my voice is needed, your voice is needed, everyone's voice is needed. And the best thing that we could do to benefit these oppressive systems is give up. That feeling of fatigue and exhaustion and feeling like you want to quit is exactly what they want. They literally wrote a playbook on how to make people feel that way, right? From overwhelming the system and overwhelming the news and just a complete sense of overwhelm. That's exactly what they want. So I do think it's super important to take breaks, and I do take occasional breaks, short breaks here and there. But the knowledge that what they really want is for me to quit is what makes me not quit, because above all else, I'm petty. I grew up the youngest child, so I'm used to kind of doing what I can to get on people's nerves. And ultimately, I know that it's working because I have people tell me all the time that I've inspired them to get involved in their community. Or I had a woman contact me and say that they started a women's mean girl liberal group in their town, their very historically red town, where they have guest speakers come and they talk about politics and they go to protests and things together. So even knowing that I can impact one person positively is enough for me to keep going. So in my own life, whether that's pertaining to politics or not, when I am feeling helpless, the antidote to that I have found is to be helpful. You might not be able to make or break an election, but there are so many other things that you can do to participate in the civic process. Being a good neighbor is exercising your civic duty. Like building a sense of community. I think what we've seen in Minnesota, for example, Minnesota, it's not like they have all of these super powerful influencers with these massive platforms and, all this celebrity, whatever it is. What Minnesota has is a sense of community. And I think that when we are feeling like our input isn't counting, or when we're feeling like what we're doing isn't contributing to a part of a greater good, it's because we're lacking that sense of community. And the tough part about that is I think when you do have those feelings of helplessness, of feeling like, is anything I'm doing mattering? Is what I'm contributing mattering? Does my voice matter at all? It makes it even more difficult on yourself to exercise that right, to go out into your community. I think it's easy for a lot of us, and I'm speaking for myself, to kind of shrink back. But I think when you're feeling helpless, the best thing you can do is be helpful, whatever that looks like for you. And I'm a firm believer that everyone has a big gift. That's how I refer to it. For some people, that might be you have a big platform on social media. For some people, that might be you're good at political organizing. For some people, that might be you're really patient and you're good at having tough conversations with people who feel differently than you. For some people, that might be you help organize bake sales at your kids' schools that help fundraise. There are so many different ways that you can contribute and be a part of something. And I'll even it's interesting. I have a lot of moms in particular who will reach out to me who say, like, I really want to be more involved in the political process, but I'm a mom. I don't have a ton of time. What are things I could be doing? I think raising good kids is a great way to participate in the civic process. I mean, truly, what we actually need is not more splashy marketing campaigns for politicians. What we need is people in their communities looking out for each other, having difficult conversations, raising good humans, looking out for each other. All of those things work together to make our society better, our democracy stronger, and hopefully our political process better as well.
We wanted to hear how communities are responding to this unprecedented political moment. So today, on Power in Numbers, we are thrilled to be joined by 3 extraordinary community leaders, organizers, and strategists. Latasha Brown, the co-founder of the Black Voters Matter Fund, Allie Red Horse Young, the founder of Protect the Sacred, a movement that mobilizes Native communities, and Reverend Dr. Ryan Eller, the executive director of the Appalachia Funders Network. Latasha, Allie, and Ryan, welcome to Power in Numbers. We're going to kind of ease into the conversation here. I want to know one thing that is bringing you joy right now. Ryan.
A lot of creators in our region right now that are putting out like new, inspiring poetry and just kind of showing up for each other. I just hung out with Silas House, who's got a new poetry book out, and I'm looking forward to a conversation that we're going to have with Ashley Judd and Silas about like all things culture. That's the thing that comes to mind first.
Love it. Allie?
I'm going to go a little personal, and I just got a new dog, a new puppy. Her name is Echo, and she's a Siberian Husky, Border Collie, and German Shepherd. Sometimes it's stressful because she's a puppy and she's got high energy, but I'm really enjoying her, and she's bringing me a ton of joy.
I am working on a new project that I'm super excited about. I'm working on a project called The Soul Table with Brooke Baldwin, who is a former, who's a journalist on CNN, and Chef Dominique Crenn, who is the only 3-star Michelin chef in North America, as a judge on the French Iron Chef, is just the bomb.
Oh my God, it sounds so good and something that we all need. I think all 3 of you, like, yes, yes. What are the top priorities and concerns in the communities that you're working with right now? Allie, let's start with you.
Top priorities and concerns really, around our voting rights. I think only 43% of our people have passports or access to passports. And, our grandparents' generation have were born at home and they don't have birth certificates. And part of the SAVE Act is proof of citizenship. And so it prolongs the process and creates these barriers that that aren't necessarily new. I think, the Native community is used to these voting barriers, but it just makes our jobs as organizers that much harder.
And Ryan, what about your community in Appalachia?
Yeah, I think we'll find a lot of similarities, but with most things in our region, it continues to be the economy. And it seems in most places that I go in rural America and in Appalachia, like the real challenge isn't convincing people what they should think politically, issue to issue. It's really as fundamental as even restoring that belief that participation in anything political and in civic life even matters.
Wow. Latasha, in your community, what are the top issues?
One thing that is a major concern for us in particular has been the Louisiana versus Calais case that the Supreme Court is considering right now. And that's a case that essentially would end racial gerrymandering, which would have a devastating impact on Black voters. That ultimately, what it could do is eliminate. There's a report that we did, and people can go on our page and see it. 19 congressional seats currently held by Black congressional office Congress people.
I'm just struck these are big, existential, very big questions, right? That I think we're facing at this moment, and certainly it's a lot bigger than elections. But I think about Ryan, question for you, but at the top of your mind, what is a hard truth about American politics that more people, including all of us, need to be saying out loud right now?
We have developed a system that, if we're really truly honest, has never been built for everybody.
That's right.
And I think that it's been easy, particularly with the weaponization of national media, the deterioration of local news, to be able to make everything into an ideological, partisan, or an identity-focused frame that allows people to sort of look at their neighbors and sort of treats them as the enemy in many respects. In Appalachia, we don't get very many national political candidates to come through. When they do, it's usually fairly extractive and transactional, which has been our experience with the economy. I think our friends in particularly Black faith communities could say the same thing, and in our indigenous communities, when recognized, treated fairly transactionally. I hope, though, that we can find some sense of promise, though, Crystal, in this moment where our communities, I do think, are starting to have more of an ego and more of a posture to say, no, this is not how we're going to be treated anymore. And maybe it's starting to have a new spirit of orientation towards the entire system.
Thank you for that, Ryan. And, building from that, Latasha and Allie, I want to take this one to you. Authoritarian leaders often gain support by promising order, strength, quick solutions. Why are those messages resonating with people, particularly right now?
I don't think it's the message in itself that's resonating. Let me say this. I'll give this example. If it's a guy that I'm standing next to that has a plate of food and I am hungry and I don't have a plate of food, I don't have anything, and I'm really hungry, when he speaks, I'm probably going to pay attention because I want to figure out how can I get that plate of food. I'm trying to figure out what it is that I need to do. And so part of what happens is there's an exploitation of our pain. It's not necessarily like they've got this magic message that they're giving. There is an acknowledgement of something is wrong. I don't have what I need. Help me understand why I don't have what I need. Whether it's true or false, the bottom line is people as human beings, we have a tendency, one, to want to really kind of understand why a thing is happening to us, even kids. That's why I'm going through this process with my 5-year-old grandchild right now, who is asking me 1,500 questions every minute. Like it is like, why? Right. So it's embedded in us to want to know kind of the why. And this administration, this authority, they use popularism to actually be able to give the why. It doesn't matter if it's legitimate, it's made, if they pulled it out of thin air. I'm going to simplify giving you a reason to help you believe or understand why this happened to you. This happened to you because of Black people. This happened to you because them poor people. This happened to you because them folk of color, the immigrants are coming over. It creates a storyline to give you an easy way out to understand why your circumstance is, right?
And that propaganda is infiltrating every, facet of popular culture and, social media, and even, the young men out there who supported Donald Trump. That is their form of communication, the computer in their hand. And they're being fed this messaging, and unfortunately, they're pretty good at it, and they're utilizing cultural imagery that resonates with the demographics that they're catering to, and it really is. It's hard to compete with because with that, it's a ton of money goes into that type of propaganda. I feel like I choose to believe that we're moving away from that resonating with our young people. And I think a lot of our young people have grown tired or are coming to see where that will lead us. And I'm hopeful for our young people to be the ones who step up and who change the course of history, and are the ones that are, we have a young person in Arizona who's running for office, and he's, in his 20s. And we saw that cool. Last year with someone like Deja Fox, and just more and more young people who are taking that leap and getting on the ballot. And we just need more of that. And I think we're going to see more of that.
I want to know from each one of you, kind of a two-part question. What's going wrong with the progressive movement? And depending how you align yourself in the political spectrum, like what is a hard truth, something that the movements that you're associated with and find yourself have got to admit, because nobody's perfect. So, Latasha, I'm going to start with you.
Well, the first thing I did right was the day I started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize and hold on, hold on. That is a freedom song from the Civil Rights Movement. I think a hard truth is in this moment, a lot of our organizing has been on the fear of what's happening. And we see ourselves as a continuation of the Civil Rights Movement. I believe that we're actually spending too much time responding to fear and not enough time radically reimagining and envisioning.
I do think we need to have some soul searching relationally between like progressive philanthropy in particular and our nonprofit system as it relates to the division that we're allowing to sort of take root. The two narratives about my community in Appalachia that I have heard since the election are very monolithic. It's, do you all regret what you've done?
Oh.
Or do you, still embrace it and you're getting what you deserve? That's it. Every journalist that comes in nationally seems to ask those two questions. They call us the heart of Trump country, even though the majority of our people don't vote. And those are the only two questions. And that frame that I've heard among several national philanthropic circles actually is what led us to misnomers about our own community and the rise of J.D. Vance and narratives like Hillbilly Elegy. And it makes every person that lives in rural a monolith.
I think we have to be better at reaching across the aisle and having those conversations with people that we don't agree with politically, who are, on the other side of the spectrum. And I think we can be better at that. I am living in a county that is on the other side of where I stand on the political spectrum. And it's challenging, but the more that we have those conversations and we create space for us to be in community together, I think that's the only way that we, overcome this deep division.
All right. One word that describes American politics right now. Ryan.
Performance.
Allie.
Greed.
Latasha.
Lies.
All right. The biggest myth about voters today, Ryan.
That we're consumers, not citizens.
Allie.
Not engaged.
Latasha.
That we don't care.
Okay, final one. What is one reason that you still believe that change is possible, Ryan?
Organizing.
Organizing. Love it. Allie?
Youth.
Latasha?
Oh, that's the easy one for me. Love.
Organizing, youth, and love. I'm loving those things. All right. Well, Latasha, I am just wondering if you just give us one more little bit of your beautiful voice to just good medicine for all of us and for our listeners.
I will say that I think this is a moment, a dark moment in our political history, that we have to remember that we are the light. So the one that comes to mind to me is the one I was taught in Sunday school. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Whoa, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I think this is a moment for us to let our little light shine. We were built for this.
Thank you. Thank you, sister. And thank you, Ryan and Allie, for this conversation. Appreciate it so much. Friends, that's it for this episode of Power in Numbers. Thanks again to all of our wonderful guests for joining us, and thanks to you, our listeners, for digging deep with me today. Next week, tune in for a conversation on astrological timing and the power of people with astrologer Chani Nicholas. Listen, watch, and subscribe to Power in Numbers wherever you get your podcasts. And follow @Indigenous House on all socials. Let's close out this episode with some music medicine from indie singer-songwriter Ray Zaragoza.
Cross your heart and hope to die. Look that monster in the eye. Hold on, lightning. Don't close your eyes when it's frightening. Let that thunder grow. Through the ages, you open up all the cages. Hold that spirit close.